Welcome to the Own It Powercast, the place to be when you get serious about making big changes and accelerating growth in your life and in your relationships. Finally create the life you've always wanted, living life on your own terms. Learn how to take your fear and turn it into powerful choices that will create sustained change. Now your host, Mary Baker.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own It Powercast, a place where you can come to get what you need to move yourself forward. This is Mary Baker and welcome to episode 37, Living Out What You Believe. Now this month, we're talking all about our beliefs and values and why they matter. And this week, I want to start exploring what we believe, why we believe it, and how what we believe greatly influences our quality of life. So first, I want to talk about why that statement is true. It's because we are always living out what we believe, whether we're aware of it or not. So your beliefs about the world and your beliefs about yourself matter. They drive the bus. They go hand in hand with your values. So if you believe in honesty, then honesty and truth are probably one of your big values, right? Because that's congruent. I think looking at what we believe, especially beliefs about ourselves, are crucial for healthy self-esteem and commitment. I think they're huge for self-trust, because if I really believe in something and I follow through on that belief and my life reflects what I believe, I'm going to feel so much more solid and better about myself. That will increase my self-trust. We can't trust ourselves if we can't count on ourselves to step up, especially when it's difficult. That makes sense. That congruence that I often talk about is huge, as is consistency. So here's the thing. What many of us are guilty of is when it's easy to live out the belief, we can do it, no problem. But if we're faced with conflict, rejection, abandonment by someone, if we stand up for what we believe, that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where the test is. That's the hero in the journey you often hear me talk about. That's when it really matters. It doesn't matter if you stand up for something and no one even knows you're standing. What matters is, can you do that and be willing to lose maybe a relationship, status, employment, big things, in order to honor what you believe? Sometimes, and I talk to clients about this all the time, sometimes you don't dishonor that belief, but something else all of a sudden is a hair more important. They both really matter. They're like neck and neck. But in this moment, you might choose, let's say, being loving instead of arguing for what you believe. Sometimes it might be better to argue for what you believe than being loving. So all of these choices we have to walk through every day, they define us. So let's first talk about ethics. There are some typical ethical beliefs. These are not all of them, and this is just a sample to give you a sense of what we're talking about. One of the more obvious ones is to tell the truth. You know, one of the underpinnings of morality is often thought to be honesty. You know, telling the truth at any time. That it's always the right thing to do when it's appropriate to do so. You know, one of the examples I was just reading online earlier, the writer says, wait a minute though, if a stalker asks you if you know where a harried youngster has fled, the most correct thing to say will be, well, no. Yet if you knew where the young man in question was, to protect their safety. So in that example, the child's safety, of course, was more important than telling the truth at the moment. I think what's important is hopefully these experiences are rare. The next one is don't cheat, be honest. Don't do the wrong thing. Come clean, fess up, don't steal. Respect, another obvious one, respecting our lives and those of others. The opposite of that would be violating someone's boundaries, stealing, hurting, harming, raging at people. Be generous is another one that people often hold as one of their ethical principles. Don't hoard everything for yourself. Try to be helpful to others. Loyalty is a big one. Being loyal, following through on your commitments to people. The other side of that sword is sometimes people can be loyal to a fault. Those who struggle with codependent traits, they'll tell you they often stay way past the expiration date on a relationship. So again, a lot of this is sifting and sorting through. It's wonderful to have loyalty as a value unless it's harmful to you. And it's loyal to whom and loyal to what? That's what I think we want to think about. Not breaking the law, living it according to the rules of your culture and your society. Don't do to others what you wouldn't have done to you, the golden rule. So those are some common ones that I think most of us, if not all of us, are very familiar with. Some other examples of ethics are acceptance, openness. That's really big in a lot of cultures today in the world where the tables are starting to be turned in terms of accepting people regardless of their gender identification or their status, their wealth status, things like that. Charity can be another ethical principle. Compassion, empathy, equality, responsibility, one of my favorites. Justice, transparency, and integrity. I think those three they're in the news often lately, and I think they're really coming to the fore. We're really talking about these things. So those are some examples of ethical beliefs that you can have, and you can have other beliefs. We talked a little bit about them last week, but I wanted to dive in a little bit more. It's like, what do you believe? I want you to think about completing these sentences. I want you to think about some things that you believe about the world and believe about yourself. Here are some examples. I am, fill in the blank. You could say, I am intelligent, I'm lazy, I'm creative, I'm hilarious, I'm beautiful, I'm not smart, I'm weak, I'm strong, I'm scared, I'm loving, I'm controlling. How about the flip side? People are. What are they? Are they friendly? Are they caring? Are they smart? Are they reliable? Are they selfish? Are they mean? Are they uncaring? Are they power hungry? What about life? Is it a joy? Is it boring? Is it hell? Is it a struggle? Is it scary? Is it overwhelming? Is it fabulous? Is it a mixed bag? And then those of you who, with spirituality, the universe, God, higher power, Allah, whatever, how would you describe that entity? Because that can be pretty telling. If I think that my higher power is a toddler, I'm probably not going to turn to said toddler to help me with my problems or struggles or wishes or fears. I want to continue talking about what I call some mistaken beliefs, or you can call them limiting beliefs about ourselves and about life and about others that can really hold us back. So I want to go through some of these, and you may resonate with some and not others. You may not resonate at all. You may check every box, and that's okay. This is just about raising your self-awareness as to where you are. The first one is life must be fair to me most of the time. I require life to be fair all the time. So when it's not, I'm probably going to struggle. The second one is I must have the approval of the key people in my life all of the time. Now, of course, on the face of it, we know that's impossible. It doesn't mean that secretly underneath, we don't feel freaked out when we don't have it. We have to remember they're human just like us. They're going to let us down just like we let others down. Another one is, if I can't depend on others, then I can't be happy and life is horrible. Again, we're going to let each other down. That's a hell of a premise to base your happiness on and your life. The perfectionism one, I have to do almost everything really well or I'm no good. And what usually goes along with that is I'm not going to try new things I don't know I'm already not good at yet, which is crazy when you say that out loud, but that's a very common thing. So that would limit me from stepping out there, stretching myself, falling on my face, but expanding my life. A big one, I am at the mercy of what's happened in the past to me. My life can't be different. Whoa. A lot of people do believe that, or they're afraid that that might be true. I think when people bring this up, there's an internal conflict. Half of them is secretly afraid that this might be true, and the other half wants you to reassure them that, no, you can have a different life here forward. You really can. It's selfish to put my needs before others' needs. Boy, we've talked all about that one. It's not. Every circumstance is different. Every moment is different. If your child is bleeding, of course you would put her first. But the rest of the week, you taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's good self-care. The belief that it's shameful to make mistakes. Wow. It's not. It's human to make mistakes. Shameful is not taking responsibility for them. Here's one that people don't talk about enough. If you can't convince others that your feelings are reasonable, then they must be wrong. Your feelings must be wrong or you're going crazy. Then you have to explain your point, trying to get them to see, get them to validate. A healthier belief is, no, my feelings are my feelings, whether you can validate them or not. They are real and true for me. Another one is you should respect the views of others, especially if they're in a position of authority. Keep your differences of opinion to yourself. Listen and learn. Ooh. Well, that's tricky if that person holds your job and you have to evaluate, is it important to speak up about how I feel differently from them or not? But I think automatically subverting what you really think, feel, and need just because you view them as an authority takes some looking at. I think what that means is you don't want to automatically discount what you have going on the inside. Don't speak up because you could really come off sounding corny or stupid. Better to not say anything than to risk ridicule. How do you know? How do you know that's going to sound stupid until you get out there and practice with healthy people? Healthy people will let you know whether that's kind of really off the rocker or whether that is interesting or reasonable or makes sense. Oh, here's a big one. You should be flexible and adjust. Others have good reasons for their actions, and it's not polite to question them. Whoa. What if their actions aren't healthy? What if their actions are ridiculous? What if they're harmful? What if they're toxic? What if they're manipulative? What if they're irresponsible and rude? Being flexible and adjusting is wonderful. It's a wonderful, healthy quality, but not around toxic behavior, not around immature and hurtful behavior. No. See, people can take these beliefs and cement them and apply them cookie cutter to all situations, and that's not the case. There should be healthy conditions. And I'm hoping that you will explore your healthy conditions for your beliefs as you go through this process. A big one I hear so often, I don't want to burden others. People don't want to hear that I feel bad, so I might as well just keep it to myself. Guys, that's not true. And here are some things to keep in mind. Number one, it's their job to tell you, hey, I can't hear this right now. Take it to a therapist. Go take care of yourself. It's their job to tell you whether they're overwhelmed, they're saturated, it's too much for them, da-da-da. It's not your job to take care of their feelings in that regard. You're not burdening. The other thing is, evaluate. I mean, if you're taking some serious trauma to your best friend, then that's probably not the most appropriate place. I mean, some of this is we need to take it to the right person, a lot of times we're afraid. That's why the joke is, people will tell their bartender and their hairstylist all kinds of caca that they really need to take to therapy or somewhere else, but they know if they do that, they're going to have to actually deal with it. So that's a common thing too. You are not burdening other people. You're opening the door for them to share about themselves as well as what you're actually doing. Okay, so those are some examples of some limiting beliefs or mistaken beliefs, however you want to think about them. I want you to ask yourself a few things here. Has this belief negatively impacted my life and how? Or has it supported it? Has it been healthy for me? And why? Another big thing to ask yourself is, what would really happen if I let go of this belief? Let me think that through. There could be a mixed bag of things. There usually are. Some people may not speak to me anymore. Oh my gosh, my whole life would be different. Like if I start believing in possibilities, everything opens up. It's not the box I was living in before. I want you to think about where your beliefs have come from for you. Where did you learn this stuff? And most importantly, is it based on accurate interpretations or direct experience? Or did you swallow someone else's beliefs because you admired them, you looked up to them, and probably hadn't formed your own yet? The other thing, too, is remember, especially if it's based on past experience and it was a bad one, you have to flesh that out. Maybe someone really, really hurt you, but you have to look at what was going on for that person. You can't automatically say, everyone wants to harm me. Everyone is out to get me. Everyone's out there to violate me, because that's not true. The corrected sentence is, healthier people would have no need or desire to lash out and hurt me, or to steal from me, or to physically harm me, or betray me, or lie to me, or abuse me. Unhealthy, toxic people, very sick people, hell yes. So there's how you differentiate, and you help yourself maybe redirect that belief, maybe reorient that belief. You make it a little more clear so it's not as general. We're warned against generalizations. That is how they get us in trouble. Because if you think everyone's out there to harm you, who are you going to let in? Remember, many of these messages were learned early in life, and depending on who shared them with us, depending on who helped us form really, negative beliefs, because they were very unhealthy, don't be hard on yourself, but look at this very carefully. Through your experiences, you learned certain rules of engagement, and you adapted to survive, and you had to do that, and that's okay. You learned to adapt to them, but now your relationships and your self-esteem and your life might be limited by some of these beliefs, so it's healthy to take a look at them. We want to be able to have our own individual expression of our thoughts, our feelings, our boundaries, our beliefs, and our values. That's what differentiation is all about. Taking responsibility for who you want to be, regardless of what you've walked through, maybe because of what you walked through, or in spite of what you've walked through, or been told, or have been modeled. It doesn't matter. You get to decide. And there's no right or wrong here. You get to choose what you want to believe. Now let's flip the coin a little bit, and I want to talk about empowering beliefs. Okay? Beliefs that lift you up, that motivate you, that give you the courage and the strength to keep going when it's hard. Guiding principles. These are empowering beliefs, the opposite of limiting. So, of course, these are just a few. My hope is that you come up with your own that are groovy for you. The first one is, I can achieve what I set my mind to. So the connotation is, as long as I set my mind to something, I can get there. What's cool about that is here comes that internal locus of control again, right? What you have healthy control over is how much work and effort you put into it, how committed you are, how much you want this, what resources are you willing to throw at it and why. There's that sense of purpose that gets us out of bed. I can achieve what I set my mind to. Another one is, many people are good and they want to help the world like I do, and they want to help me. So if I'm on the side of the road, good people might stop and help me. Maybe you've had that experience. Maybe you've been that person to stop and help. Maybe you've done the nice thing where someone dropped their wallet in the grocery store and you said, "Excuse me, I think you dropped this." Or you turned the keys into the front desk that you found in the parking lot. Or someone paid it forward and gave you the pennies you didn't have at the checkout. There are millions of examples if we look for them. And what I love to do sometimes is just do random acts of kindness. I think they feel really good to do. They may seem small, but you have no idea. You might have kept that person from offing themselves because you might have been the only person that showed you cared that day. I am a good, kind, compassionate person. There's a wonderful, empowering belief. Now, this doesn't mean you're perfect, and it certainly doesn't mean you're feeling kind every day of the week. But you aspire every day you get up, every 5 minutes when you reground and give yourself another chance. You work towards that, and that is a wonderful thing to aspire to. Again, not perfect, but something that we really want to become. I'm becoming braver every day is another one. Again, I think a really realistic belief because it's not saying you're already brave. It never says you're not going to have fear. Bravery is not the absence of fear, remember? It can't exist without fear. You can't be brave unless you're afraid. The choice to be brave and do it anyway. There you go. And braver means, yeah, I might have blown it this week, but next week I have a new chance to be courageous. Empowering beliefs should be doable. They have to be reasonable enough, but out there enough too to expand your box. I have wonderful gifts I can use to be a part of the greater good. You do because we all do. That's a belief that I hold. But I can tell you, I've sat with enough people over the years, I've never not seen their gifts eventually. And they don't have to be outlandish, the best musician on the planet gift either. Gifts are gifts. And I was joking with a client the other day. I said, the pressure's off because there's are gifts given to you, is my belief. You don't even have to take responsibility for getting them. You can take responsibility for using them. And I think we feel the most fulfilled and grounded and joyous when we are using our gifts. Another one is, I desire healthy and loving relationships. And you deserve them too, because we all do. It helps sometimes to hear because we all do, because everyone does, if you're afraid of being grandiose and egocentric. No, these are basic things that we all deserve. And I think all of us really desire deep down, whether we admit it or not. Healthy, loving relationships are the key to longevity, belongingness, like we talked about. We feel connected, we feel loved, we feel needed, we feel alive. You know how you walk away from a great outing or dinner with a friend or a chat, and you just feel energized? That's what I'm talking about. Along with safe places to go when life hits the fan. That's when it really matters. I deserve good things because you do, and you deserve success however you want to define that success. You get to do that. Hopefully you'll really get down and do that this month. If you're not already sure of what success means to you, and that can change over time. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Self-actualization, they've already achieved their financial goals, perhaps. They want to give back and do good. So that can be the new measure of success for them. That can change for us. I am responsible for my own happiness and my own choices. You know that's a belief that I hold. I don't think we can be happy until we take responsibility for that. Because if deep down we're dependent on others to make us happy, for circumstances to go our way to make us happy, oh boy, are we in trouble. Because the world is going to let us down, and people are fallible. They're human. They're going to screw up and make mistakes. They're going to disappoint us. They're going to have a bad day. That's pretty scary, to put all your eggs in that basket. Taking responsibility for your own happiness, in as much as you focus on the things that you can control, there you go. There's the freedom. There's freedom in choice. There's responsibility in choice. But the ownership is much more grounding. Okay, so I want to do an exercise. Those who are familiar know that what the sentence stems are about. So I'm going to give you a few sentence stems or sentence starters. And I just want you, if you're in a place to write down, great. If you're not, think in your head, write them down later. Just answer a couple quick endings that come up for you before you think too hard about them. This is not about being PC or thoughtful. It's about trusting whatever truth comes up for you. And it can be negative, positive, neutral, all the above. Okay. Number 1. If I were to take a deeper look at what I really believe. If I were to take a deeper look at what I really believe. Number 2. Looking at the true origins of my beliefs. Looking at the true origins of my beliefs. And number 3, as I uncover what I deep down believe about myself, as I uncover what I deep down believe about myself, okay, so what came up for you, huh? Were you surprised? Just trust that that was your truth, no matter what you think about it, and just explore what that really means for you. For the bonus download for this episode, I've included these and a few more just to get you going into a deep dive so you can really explore and sit with where your beliefs come from for you. What do you think about those? Have you ever really sat and evaluated them? Have things changed for you? Have you had changing life experiences that really turn some things on a dime for you? And that's normal and that's okay. And I want you to think about what beliefs would you just love to hold but are afraid to? Like maybe you would love to believe that people are good. Maybe you'd love to believe in hope. Maybe you'd love to believe in kindness and compassion, but you haven't had a hell of a lot of it lately. Maybe you want to believe you are a kind and compassionate person, but you haven't been that. You've been guarded, you've been irritable, you've been closed down, you've lashed out, you've hurt others. The list goes on. I want you to know that you can grow into that belief. You can, if you really want to. Change is possible. All right, so this was a heavier episode, wasn't it? We covered what beliefs are, what really matters, how many of our beliefs can be formed. I talked about the 2 categories of what we believe about life versus what we believe about ourselves. We also explored healthy, empowering beliefs and distorted, frustrating, limiting ones as well. My hope is that you'll continue your self-exploration this month. So if you're already a subscriber and signed up for the Tribe News, you have already received your newsletter with the bonus download in there. If you're not, go to ownitpowercast.com. Go ahead and sign up. It's easy, it's simple, and you'll get those in your email every Tuesday. If you find this podcast helpful, please pass it along to those you think could really benefit. Remember, the healthier people are around you, the better your life is going to be, right? So, thank you for joining me today. I hope this was inspiring and helpful and thoughtful. And remember, keep paying it forward. Keep focusing on the inside of you. And I'll see you next time.
We hope you took away some useful insights and tools you can begin using right away. If you did, please leave a positive review and share on your social media. Because could you imagine if everyone in your life really got it together? Remember, own it now, so you can really own it later.